Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the CantinaMX podcast. Happy 4th of July to everyone who listens to us in the U.S. Glad to have you with us again live here on the YouTube. And of course, you can listen to this and all previous editions of the CantinaMX podcast, the podcast center on iTunes, as well as Google Play. My name is John Jagu. Glad to have you guys with us. As always, a full panel of guests aquí en la mesa, and we'll get right to the topics tonight. But before we do that, I do want to say hello to everyone. First of all, out in Kyle, Texas, where did you get a little rain? Because it looked like y'all might be getting some rain.
Yeah, I got a bit of rain, and now humidity.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at least it knocked off the. It gets a little hot in Texas in the summer, and those afternoon rains just knock off. You know, it brings it down from 98 to 92, and it makes an unbelievable difference. So it was.
Yeah, I like the heat, though. I like the heat.
Oh well, you're a freak.
Not Arizona heat or
No.
Las Vegas heat, but 98's not too bad.
Yeah, you're right. It's it is definitely reasonable. Albert Campa joins us. Albert, how are you?
Hey, doing good. Glad to be here.
Man, I got to tell you, man, I'm looking through your pictures that we took last week in Houston, and you have some very nice pictures.
Yeah, I found a few good ones that I edited a little bit and saved. So yeah, not bad.
Yeah, no, you should be proud of yourself, man. You got it's funny because I mean that's what's great about the digital world. I mean, because in the days of film, if you had, if you're lucky enough to have a 36, I mean, if at an event like that, if you got like 2 or 3 good ones, you'd be like thrilled to pieces. Now, I mean, you took a whole bunch of pictures. What'd you end up taking? It was like how many gigs was it total?
I think it was like 2.3.
I thought it was more than that.
Next time I need to rent some gear though. The guy next to me who we talked to at the end,
right?
He actually got one of when Moises Munoz dove and blocked like a potential goal. He got it right when he was diving and blocking. It was a pretty nice picture he showed me.
John, sorry to interrupt you, John, but one of the things that I've noticed, in fact, that I noticed when I covered games as a photographer, is that what the digital cameras have been able to do is that there's always a lot of photographers aren't really fans of the game. They're just, for them, it's just a job.
Right.
So what they'll do, and what I've seen them do, is that they'll take shots, and they'll take the best shots of something like a shot of an image that shows like one team winning, and they'll try to get another image of the other team winning. And rather than staying there the entire game, by halftime, they're just back in the media room, basically editing their photos, and they submit it and they leave. So that's kind of like, I've always wondered how they did it, or how much time consuming it was for the guys to do it in film, But sorry to interrupt.
Well, it's actually interesting that you pointed out, because I actually saw at least the front end of that process in 1995. The first time I was ever on the sidelines at a game was in 1995. It was a Monday Night Football game between the Cowboys and the Giants, and it was at the Meadowlands. And I was standing next to the AP photographer, or I don't know how many they had, but I mean, he definitely worked for AP. I mean, he could have been younger than like 70, 75. And he would take a picture. He would decide, oh my God, that was the picture I wanted. He would take the film out of the camera, give it to some runner, and then the runner would be gone. And then he just put another roll of film. So he would just, he would never even, I guess he wouldn't even hesitate to, once he got the shot, to rip the film out of the camera and give it to some guy. And then the guy just disappears and they go develop it.
Actually, now that he says that, at halftime, pretty much almost everybody just cleared out from my side of the field. I didn't switch sides. I stayed on the side I was at, on the side that Ghana was attacking. So I assumed everyone switched to the other side, thinking that Mexico would be on the attack.
Right.
But I don't know for sure. I don't know if they just left at halftime or not. But
one of the things that I do, when I sit on the pitch and take photographs, is that I always try to anticipate who's going to be, like, for example, if I know that Guardado is going to be playing on the left side, I'll try to sit on the right side because I know that, you know, like especially like when, like, let's say Borghetti, I always wanted to sit on the side where I knew that a Borghetti would get a header and I could see I would be able to anticipate him heading the ball and stuff like that. So that's how I would always try to pick where I would want to sit, is like, okay, who do I want to cover today? You know, or how Mexico's going tack. But, you know, with the whole rotaciones, it'd probably be a very difficult task for me today.
You would actually have to like really pay attention and do all the studies and
Yeah,
for 6 months, and
I'd have to go to Liverpool, you know, and study
look
Liverpool.
Look out the window. Look out the window. Anyway, that is Ronnie De Luna joining us from Philadelphia. Happy 4th of July, Ron, in the cradle of independence.
How are you doing, John? How are you doing, guys?
Good to have you on with us, Ronnie. Ronnie, your boy Lainez scored a pretty good goal last night for America.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. And
I'm really happy that Piojo is going to continue to use him in the first team.
You know, I really am. I'm happy that they're gonna. It seems like, you know, they're starting to use the youth a little, and they were for a while. I mean, you know, a couple years back, Mexico or America.
Well, I mean, if this kid is as good as people think he is, I mean, does it really matter how old he is? I mean, at this point,
no.
Does it really matter? I mean, if he's good enough to play,
I think it matters. I think it matters in terms of maturity. Like, is he gonna let, you know, is he gonna let the limelight? Is he gonna let, you know, the friends and the women and all that type of stuff? So I mean, I think it matters to a certain degree.
Well, we got to keep him away from you, I think, is what you're trying to say, Ron. Is that we can't.
Yes.
We can't.
A corrupter of souls.
That's right.
Yes.
Can't have you hanging around like this post game. And
I mean, I've always said it. I know that, you know, Chiquis and I, we've argued this in the past, is that, you know, you could be a Maradona and still be successful, or you could be an AC Green and live a virgin life and still be successful.
It doesn't matter. They're not related.
Exactly. I've always said that, but you can let, you know, those type of outside influences, if you don't know how to manage your time and take care of your body, obviously will affect you.
It's all about balance.
Yep. And I just hope the kid, you know, stays hungry, you know.
That's why we have a good balance on this podcast. You know, we have the Americanista, we have Chivas, we have some neutrals. You know, it's a good balance of opinions and ideas here on the CantinaMX podcast. And we have 2 Callies joining us tonight, and we might have a third. We had a third earlier, but you know, once the little red light came on, he panicked and he went and he took himself off the list. But we will have him back. But we do have out in Escondido, Daniel Preciado joins us with his Santos. So I believe, Dan, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Santos won their first tune-up by tuning up Chivas 5-0. Is that correct?
That's true.
Yeah.
And I believe they lost yesterday. I missed the match, but
yeah, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's like at this point you want to see who came in with what you want, you know, and who's playing well, and you go with that.
Chivas is at the Gold Cup, though, right?
That is true. The half of
yes.
Chivas. You know what? Didn't they say back in April or whatever it was that, hey, we're only going to take 4 players per team in Liga MX because we know your season's starting when Gold Cup starts. But of course, there's like 8 Chivas on that team, so apparently that rule did not come to pass. Well, Dan, thanks for joining us this evening. We'll
as always,
I'm sure that you will bring it like you always do, Dan, on this show, and in fact, you do it so well that we have to give you a little. When it happens, it's fantastic. So good to have you on. And of course, last but not least, out in California, South Los Angeles, a gentleman who lives next to probably the biggest Club America fan in Los Angeles, I think. Of course, I'm talking about Joel Aceves. Joel, how are you?
Doing good, John.
Joel, you need to go do some recon for us and find out. You need to talk to this guy. You know, find out who he is.
I'll take some pictures.
No, well, picture you can interview him. You know, got to get the mic out and record his conversation. I mean, there is no bigger America fan in Los Angeles than this guy.
There's another one, and he painted his whole car, and I think I
On the
posted
same
some
street?
pictures. No, in this area, but
Oh.
he painted his car like America colors, and he has the logo, and and he has like a cartoon eagle. I shared a pic a long time ago. I don't know if you guys remember it on the Twitter.
Now, do you think that guy also painted the America logo on the curb?
I don't know.
That's hilarious. So this house this
Probably.
guy lives in is like I'm not gonna say it's trash, but it's not very well maintained. We'll just leave it at that. But the America stuff is pristine. It is there's it's like he washes the curb once a day. The America logo on the porch is is shiny and clean.
And he has two big flags hanging out in the front.
He does, and then you have a Toluca guy that lives next to him, right? So that's got to be interesting.
I don't know how true the rumor is about America, potentially getting a Chinese investor. But if that does happen and they do take, even if it's like, minority ownership, that's when I hand in my America badge and say, you know what, thank you, but it's been fun. But
hey, Ron, when that does happen, hopefully it'll happen while we're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
That we should have like Ronnie as the bachelor, and then we'll be your suitors, Pumas and Tigres and the like, and you could eliminate, one by one, and then at the end say I'm going for whatever team.
I just want to see Ron. I want to see Ron tear his Socio Águila credencial in half.
Yeah, that's
right.
Burn it.
That's it, dude. I'm telling you, I've always hated that about European football. How these, billionaire guys from like the Middle East and Asian stuff, they go in there and it's like, I think I've told you this before. When I was in Johannesburg in the World Cup in South Africa, I was talking to a British reporter, and I was like, dude, it's like we were just talking about football in general. And I said, dude, I want to go back to England and catch English football. And he made a comment like, it's like, dude, there's nothing English about English football anymore. And he goes like, you have to really go into the lower divisions, and by I mean lower divisions, we're talking regional, not even like the championship, which is the second division. It's like there's like nothing English about it anymore. And it's like that got me thinking. It's like I know that eventually, Mexico's going to have foreign investors, but to have that type of cheap investors, it's like, dude, for me that would be the one.
Well, there's already the Atlético de Madrid.
Yeah, but to me, it's for at least for me, there's a difference between having like, let's say, an Mexican American investor, or even an American investor that's been been part of the U.S. soccer for 20, 30 years, knowing that it's like, okay, well, I want to be in, but to have investors from over there where it's just nothing for them, it's just like a social event. It's like, dude, it just cheapens it, It's like, nah, thank you, but that's it. That's it for me.
I mean, is that honestly going to happen, though?
Honestly,
you think it is, don't you? You think it's going to happen?
I think it is. I think it may.
Me too. I could see it happening.
And I think that America would probably be the first team that had that sort of foreign ownership, because I don't think it's going to happen with Cruz Azul because of the way they're legally set up. I don't think it's going to be with Chivas. I think that they would go after America first.
Chivas was close before Vergara bought them. Soccer United Marketing was pushing to manage the club, not own it, but to have some type of like management deal.
Yeah. So. I don't know, man. I just when I was reading that, and the thing about it is I've kind of heard those rumors throughout the years. It's like, but when ESPN was talking about the rumors, I'm thinking, oh shit.
Yeah, maybe they're just. I mean, something like this. Maybe they could just be floating a trial balloon just to see what how the public would react, or.
I don't know,
or maybe they're trying to maybe they actually are thinking about selling them, and they're just just throwing some.
Well, I mean, seeing Huawei as their logo and stuff, it's like, if you think about it, the very first time any of us heard of OmniLife was when it was a sponsor on Atlas's jersey. I'm like, who the hell are these guys? And the next thing you know, they buy Chivas. So it's like, the first time I ever hear of Huawei, it's like, who the hell? I was like, uh-oh. So I mean, that could be.
Would you feel better, Ronnie, if it would have said Wawa and the goose flying
the goose
as
fly.
the logo? Yeah. Would that have made you feel more comfortable?
Nah. The Puerto Ricans, they call bus Wawas, by the way, here in Philly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Súbete en la guagua 35, like that.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell's a Wawa?
That's interesting. Well, let's now that we've done our customary 20-minute hellos, let's jump into some topics tonight. I guess we'll start with Mexico's national team. So it's like tag team wrestling. One got beat up by a couple of teams, so now they're tagging out, sending the new ones in. Mexico ended up in 4th place in the Confed Cup. I don't think that was really a surprise to anyone. I mean, I think that if you looked at as far as who the teams were and what groups they were in, I mean, I think one could safely say that Mexico is probably the 4th best team in that group. And, by luck of the draw, they didn't have as much competition as the other group, as say on Australia, who was, maybe not necessarily as good as Mexico, but could certainly give teams games on any given day. And if they would have flip-flopped, it would have been a very close contest between Australia and Russia to advance. And and then Mexico's with Germany and Chile. How would that have gone for them in the Confed Cup? So they got very lucky as far as the draw, and then they did what I think what we expected them to do, which is advance through the group stage, and then we saw what happened, and then they lose the 3rd place game to Portugal without Voldemort, and so 4th place, and now they got the Gold Cup. So what does this do for our friend Juan Carlos Osorio? Does it? I mean, is he under just a ridiculous amount of pressure now? No pressure, a little amount of pressure. Is he starting to look over his shoulder? Is Ron? Have you started the strongly worded complaint letters to FMF? And,
I think he's going to be at Russia.
Exactly.
I think it's pretty much done. I think
Is he gonna learn anything?
No, I really don't think so. And I think at this point, the Mexican Federation is like, well, we made our money by going to the Confederations Cup. Okay, we're gonna make our money. We're gonna make our nut by going to the World Cup. So as far as in terms of revenues for the TV companies like Televisa and TV Azteca, they're going to hit their bottom line. And it's like, you know what? We're good. All right. Granted, people aren't happy, but, we'll change it up after Russia. So I think ultimately, by going to the Confederations Cup, if you think about it, that's why Hugo Sanchez was sacked.
Of course, it was why it was sacked. Because they weren't going to make their nut for the Olympics.
They weren't going to make their nut for the Olympics. They weren't going to make their nut for the Confederations Cup and stuff like that. They didn't care. They didn't care that the team was literally in a transition mode where the old guard.
But that was the Olympic team, though. Remember, he got set for an entirely different incident.
Yeah, but
Hugo got fired after them beating Ghana in London.
I
fired him after.
I kind of knew that they were going to find a way to get rid of him when he lost the final in 2007 to the U.S. in the Gold Cup, because that meant no Confederations Cup in 2009. I kind of had a feeling then that they may want to get rid of him because of it, but then I think the Olympics was like, okay, well.
But you know what, though? I mean, the Confed Cup is not a guarantee for Mexico at all. It's just not.
But if you're Televisa, you're expecting it. Because, what do you have the year before the World Cup really to sell? Nothing. At least for sporting.
Well, then you raise the prices for the World Cup.
No, but what I'm saying is for the summer programming, Televisa and TV Azteca, they want the damn Confederations Cup.
Mr. Pink online seems to think that that Hugo was making too much bank.
No. No, it has nothing. Our Mexican coaches have always made bank.
Well, also they weren't able to prove it. There was rumors that he was charging players, and the guy got called out.
Yeah.
Who was making the claims, and he was never able to show any valid proof.
Yeah.
You know, my one big regret with Hugo was that he didn't get a chance to coach Chicharito and Vela and Giovanni and all these guys. I mean, who better in the world to learn from, a guy who did it, consistently, incredibly well for 10 solid years.
Yeah.
In Spain. And it just that to me was my biggest, because he always talked about that he liked spending a little extra time with forwards just to kind of give them, I was like, God, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
And just never.
Yeah. But I think that Osorio's to stay. I think that the FMM, they're going to just weather the storm, weather the critics, the criticisms, and say, you know what, we're taking them.
Well, for me, and I'll let y'all jump in on this, is he has the players. Any coach is going to have the players at this point, and we know who they are. It's just going to matter, what coach is going to be able to get the best out of them. I don't necessarily think Osorio is the coach to get the best out of the players that he has, which I think is very frustrating. But and then the other thing for me is that if he's going to spend all this time studying and prepping, and I think he does, as far as the organization and administration of what he's trying to do, fantastic. He is a great pencil pusher. Congratulations to him for that. And I'm sure that he can have, I'm sure he's very studious, and I think it's fantastic. But please, learn from what has happened to you in the past, and then improve upon that. If by some miracle he's able to do that, then I think Mexico does have a chance to do something. But until then, if he doesn't learn from what has happened to him in these two tournaments, then if Mexico makes it to the group stage, great, but they won't make him much further than that.
John, I agree 100% as to your assessment that I also don't think that Osorio's the coach that is able to maximize the efforts of this team. Now, my problem is that those that defend Osorio, they're basically their points are: one, Mexico as a footballing nation has really no right to expect more because we haven't done more. And to me, that's not valid. I mean, it's like, Chile, upped their game because, recently. Spain also upped their game, a couple years back. So, to not think or to not want more, or not to expect more of your team, to me, that's just a defeatist attitude.
Well, we have upped our game, though. Mexico has upped their game in the confederation that we're in.
What I mean by that is like going to the the quarterfinals or the semifinals and stuff like that of the World Cup, or not expecting more. And it's like, the critics, it's like, what do these guys think they are? They're world champions.
That's what we were set to do, though. We were set to do well in Confederations Cup, and then that would set up a fifth game or further in the.
So but Beto, my point is just like, it's like, it's like,
yes, please get to your point, please.
It's like, how dare you guys criticize him the fact that you've never done this before, and also another critique, because I've seen it. And I've seen it. I don't want to name names, but I mean, I've also, because I'm on my Facebook account, I'm friends. I'm friends with other reporters and stuff like that. But it's like, I've also seen that a lot of the people that are defending Osorio are because of the access that he provides, or the inclinations that they've had with MLS before. Like, it's like they have that little access. So it seems like, I'm not saying they're chummy and they're friends and stuff like that, but it seems like certain people are kind of like defending or looking past, the way he sets up his teams or how leaky his defenses are. And it's like they don't want to criticize him too much because I guess they don't want to lose that access.
Also, Ron, going up what you said, it's a bit of a contradiction for some of the Osorio apologists, because they're the same that have said that this is Mexico's best generation ever. So they make that claim. At the same time, they don't, they don't have bigger expectations. and they seem to forget how Mexico has fared against some of the traditionally stronger teams, where at least Mexico goes down fighting.
Yeah.
We might lose, but it's la vendemos caro,
Exactly.
and the Chile and Germany are completely opposite of what we should expect. So I mean, we might not expect Mexico to win, but at least it's gonna give the other team a run for their money.
Yeah, I think you guys expected Mexico to win against Germany, though. If we look back at our predictions, I think a lot of you,
everybody predicted a.
everybody predicted a win except me. I said they would lose 3-2.
I didn't.
No,
I didn't participate, but I also I didn't participate in that podcast, Cheekies. But deep down, I know that Mexico had the talent to beat them.
Yeah, I'm
deep down. I know that. Maybe, and
I agree, and I agree with Joel saying that this
and which makes it even more frustrating. It was on top of the fact that Mexico had the talent to win that game. Germany. Yes, they won the Confed champions, and congratulations to them. But they were imminently beat. I mean, they were beatable. They were a beatable team. They were, it was a team that was just learning to be. They were the baby man. They were just learning to do that whole Mannschaft thing. So they were leaving some huequitos too, and then some teams were able to exploit them. Mexico even exploited them for a bit. But I mean, it just is. But you have to. You got to lock it up in the back end, and that's the that's what's frustrating with this guy. It's like, how do you not see that you cannot, play the way you play? You don't have the players to do it. Number one, and number two, your back line is so slow that you just cannot let them. I mean, it's really kind of a disservice to the fan. I know that we always complain about the default. They got caught out of positions. Well, that's the way that the coach is telling them to play.
And then I think it was also their ball watching. It was just horrible individual play by Molero, by Layun, ball watching and leaving their guys unmarked.
But I think that's something what John said about maximizing the potential, and that's what the German coach was able to do, with that team, and that what Osorio failed to do with Mexico.
Going back to Layun, which to me, ever since Layun came onto the national team, win or lose, the guy's always given his best, and right now he's been criticized. I think that Osorio hasn't even really. I think he's not maximizing some of the players.
All right, well, him playing his right back. The criticism is 100% deserved. He had a horrible tournament.
The dude didn't play. He played like 3 games in 2017. He had no business being on the pitch.
And you can see the back of his jersey in just about every one of those goals, I bet.
Well, a legit question. What has, for you guys, been the best match that you've seen Mexico play under Osorio, that you were just, impressed?
I would probably have to say the Honduras game in Honduras. I think that was probably his best the best performance. Other than that, I don't want to sound like a beat up record, but most of the games, whether we win or lose, I always saw just a lot of really bad defensive lapses, and it's like, dude, they're going to get exposed. They're going to get exposed. They're going to get exposed, and obviously against the better teams, we do get exposed. But I think, to answer your question, Hoyt, I think it was the Honduras game in Honduras. I think they looked sharp.
And even then, can you name me a key player from Honduras?
I think there were flashes against Portugal. There's been flashes, just flashes.
No, but I don't want flashes. I want full match.
There's been nothing then.
If
you want a full match, then there hasn't been one.
For me under Aguirre, the Italy game in 2002, the whole game, the way Mexico played. I know for a lot of people they prefer the Mexico Argentina, even though others don't like it, John. But everyone.
How could anyone like that match?
Just because it was Argentina and it took a maxi golazo.
You mean the match that Mexico had two shots the entire match? That match.
Yeah, John, but you'd be surprised how many people refer to that match. But we
masochists.
We've seen games where 2014 Mexico versus Croatia, and even against Cameroon, those were really great games. So I still haven't seen a game like that.
No,
I don't think we're going to.
And you won't see a game like that under Osorio. And
I think with Osorio, you've seen more flashes of brilliance from some of the players, like some of the goals from Tecatito or some of the goals from Raúl Jimenez and stuff like that.
But that has nothing to do with him.
I know. But I'm just trying to answer Juan's questions here.
I think he's going to be known. The only thing he's going to be known for is having a really good record.
At CONCACAF.
That's going to be the one thing that the one positive. I don't think he's discovered anyone new. I mean, I guess maybe Araujo. I think that's a huge plus.
I don't think he discovered him.
Well, I don't think so either. I don't think so either.
Was a Copa America guy, and he played in the. Well, actually,
I've heard that
one guy that didn't play in the Olympics.
I saw this. It was like an article. I didn't click on it, but it said Osorio, King of CONCACAF, and then Pauper of Europe or Peon of Europe. And I think it kind of describes it pretty good.
But that's the way. That's like the whole thing with this, the press and everything going against him and wanting him fired, and then the opposite, like Ronnie was talking about, certain press members supporting him and all this Axis stuff. I think it's just they're trying to be contrarian to all the hate, because all the hate, like the excess hate for Osorio, is just too much. Mexico is Mexico, and like you said, if Osorio is the king of CONCACAF and the peon in Europe, Mexico is the same thing, and it has always been the same thing. So there's no reason to expect anything different.
Yeah. Oh, hey Dan. Did you read the comments that the German coach said before the Mexico match, talking about the Mexico squad that he remembered in the 2005 Confederations Cup?
Yes.
Now, do you think, obviously I'm asking you to speculate, but do you think the Mexico that he saw in 2005, in terms of play and performance and do you think he thought lesser of this one or the one in 2005?
Well, I think it's clear. I mean, this was a bad team. It was a bad performance. I don't think it's even questionable. That team played well. So I mean, it's
Now, see, here's the difference, though. I mean, that team did play well in 2005. That was the last time we saw that team play well. They peaked in 2005. I don't think that we can safely say that Osorio's teams have peaked. And frankly, it would. I mean, if he can somehow pull that off to where they peak next year, then you know what, dude? Then whatever.
My one hope,
congratulations.
I guess, because I'm. I was giving the guy the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to see what he did with this tournament, and my only one hope is that maybe behind the scenes, the federation knew that he was approaching this tournament with his best players, but trying out different things, not totally
going after it.
Because he needs that. Because if he's like that, like maybe, I don't know, and I'm still hoping that maybe somehow he'll adjust some things, and maybe he was willing to take more chances in this tournament, seeing as that it wasn't the World Cup, and that maybe he'll be just more conservative. Because I think we have I think the team has plenty of individual talent to play more conservatively and steal games. I think there's a whole lot of talent there that you could, make sure you address your shortcomings, which is the defense, and then just take your chances. And at least I think it'll reduce the score, the amount of goals they give up, and I think it'll still allow that individual play. So. Yeah, and I just think that, you need to take a more conservative approach against better competition. I mean, until you can routinely outplay them, which, and it just seemed like the German team was just bigger, faster, stronger, better technically. Just they looked better than them in a lot of aspects.
In every aspect.
Yeah.
One other thing that bothers me with everybody's talking about after the pitiful performance in 2000 for the German team, that they've been on this track since then, and it's like, okay, well, to seem it's like, we can't cut a proceso because you just can't cut it for the sake of not cutting it, And I've always been one to think that it doesn't matter, just something's not going to get better just because you stick with it. it just so happens that it's worked for the Germans that they've been working methodically.
Yeah, but
for
the
a long,
Germans have been playing the same style as long as I've been alive.
Exactly.
I mean,
And they see the game differently, and it's like, and you could, you don't have to take my word. You can, go back to the FMM and look at all the teams in the roster, the senior team, the 23 team, the other team. They have different coaches, all with different styles, and like no one really wants to step on any other coaches toes. And I think that part of the benefit, I guess one of the benefits that if the Liga MX was truly independent from the national team, is that you would have a youth system that actually plays a certain style, starting from the U12s all the way down towards the U20s and the U20 under 23s. And I think that that's part of one of the the successes of the German system. But to say or to insinuate that it's because they haven't cut their processes, that's just a fucking lie. That's bullshit. It's what you do and how you do it. It's not just because of the sake of time. You could be using the proceso for 5 years, 10 years. It doesn't matter. It could still be wrong.
It's like Piojo from last season, like all the changes that were made with the coaches last cycle, and this cycle we could go with Osorio the whole time, and still end up with the same result. Passing group stage and getting the first game in elimination and going out. That could very well happen this coming up World Cup.
You mentioned the Germans, Ron, and it's well, one thing that we should also keep in mind is that their whole development, player development, and their whole structure, how if first division teams are required to have like damn. They need to have like a youth system, and they have to have like a coaching school, and they're more strict on that. But like I think what happened?
They also have a better sporting culture.
Yeah, exactly. And what I saved this quote from. I was reading this article, and it was talking about Das Reboot, which was how the Germans restructured some of their I guess was like their whole system for player development. And one of the people involved with it said how they used to like focus in trying to find stars, which to me is like it's kind of what we do in Mexico. The teams we have youth teams, but if they don't identify like a player that's going to be a star, they just kind of like let the players rot in the second, third divisions.
Well, one thing I also read recently that they do is that the national team, I guess, or the federation, pays the clubs with the incentive to produce players. After they, I guess they failed, and just one of the things that they had in mind was to just do that too. It's like it's like, all right, we will pay you to help us build a good national team, which I thought was interesting.
One of the things, for the longest time since I can remember, the gold standard was Brazil. That was always the gold standard, and I honestly think that the best footballing soccer nation is Brazil's no longer. I think that consistently since the 1950s it actually has been Germany. The amount of European titles and the amount of semifinals and finals that they've reached in both European Championship and the World Cup, it's actually a lot better record than Brazil. In fact, if you go to if you look at the stats, I think in terms of World Cup wins, Germany now has surpassed both in amount of games played and wins than Brazil. And keep in mind that Brazil's also played every World Cup. Germany hasn't. They missed a couple of them for obvious reasons.
Yeah, this was their 15th tournament final.
Yeah,
1-5, and the Eurocopa didn't start till 1960.
Yeah. So
That's
so-
pretty good.
So I mean, in terms of and I think for the longest time, Mexico, at least the powers that be, was we always kind of like how like the United States started to study Mexico, and it's like we need to beat them. I mean, that was also kind of like the mentality of Mexico. It's like we need to study them and beat them. And it's funny because we know how to beat Brazil. We've done it. We do it at the youths. We know how to do it, at the senior level. And I think, that we may need to start looking at Germany. It's like, how do we beat these guys consistently?
Well, there's nothing wrong in doing that. I mean, if you're going to emulate and imitate, why not do the one that does it best?
I think so, because I mean, I was looking at Planet World Cup. I always go into that website. I love that website. It's just World Cup statistics, and Brazil's still number one, obviously, but because of the World Cup, the number of World Cups. But I think, in terms of you really study the World Cup, I think the best is really Germany. They've been the most consistent.
Oh, I thought we were going to the Citadel. Sorry, I was playing Citadel music. I thought you were taking us in. No, you're right, Ryan. It's Germany has been. I mean, I said it last week, and since I've been alive, they've been just outstanding, and they've always been terrific. I mean, for teams to beat Germany, I mean, they had to play, practically play perfect. I mean, just think of the losses that Germany's had, just even in recent World Cups. They lost to Bulgaria in the quarterfinals with two just absolutely superb goals, within 5 minutes of each other late in the second half.
Yeah.
And then they lost to Croatia, almost, and didn't Croatia beat them 3-0 in the quarterfinals in France?
Yeah.
Yeah, they beat them. So anyway. So that was probably as far as their worst performance. But even Brazil, when they beat them, and of course that's a final. But in 2002, I mean, Ronaldo had to come up with something they're just a very hard team to beat. And I guess that's been my biggest problem with Osorio is that for all the studying that you do of the opponent, I mean, can't you at least respect what they do best and then like try and contain that? I mean, it seemed like he just refuses to do that, and I'm not sure why that is. Why is that, Joel?
One of the things that also kind of that strikes me with German football is that they the German people didn't give their team a chance in '54. That's why they call it the miracle at Bern. And even for the '90 World Cup, when they were West Germany, they didn't give their team a chance. And these are the fans, dude.
Man, and think of what that '54 game did to. I mean, not only did it propel Germany into what they are today.
Yeah.
But I mean, Hungary was the Germany of the first half of the 20th century. I mean, they dominated everything. They dominated Olympics.
Yeah.
They were just traditionally super strong. I mean, that was when they had Puskás and all those guys, and they went to England, and then they just destroyed them at Wembley like 8-3 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just the team. And after that, you never heard of Hungary, and you haven't heard from them since. They just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah, but it's funny. Like what you were saying is like they didn't expect anything from their team in '90. They didn't expect anything from their team in 2002. Even when in the 2006 World Cup, most Germans that I spoke to, they didn't expect their team to make it to the final.
Right.
And it's funny. It's like, dude, their fans have like lower expectations. It's like we have higher expectations. They have lower.
And yeah, that's funny. And even that game, when Italy beats them 2, I mean, Italy had to score 2 practically perfect goals just to win that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so I guess that was what's been my biggest frustration with Osorio again is that. You've been terrible in this whole transition defense thing, and the one thing you have to shore up against Germany, and it never happens. It's just hopefully, yes, Hoyle.
to answer your question, Yon, it's to me it's obvious that Osorio's he's gonna do the rotation strain. That's his thing, and he's not gonna change it for anything. I think that's what he wants to like be known for. He just doesn't want to go to the World Cup. He wants to leave something behind, and I think he feels that he could succeed with that.
Ronnie left something behind. Well, both of y'all left something behind when you went to the World Cup in Germany.
No, but which makes me wonder, like, how was that conversation that Santiago Bathrooms had with Osorio? When he offered him the national team, and it's like, probably asked Osorio what is your idea of what can you do with the tricolor, and did he say, I'm sure I could field a different team each and every game and get good results.
I'm going to play as many people as I can, and you're going to lose in the round of 16.
Because he had been doing his rotation and he had been somewhat successful, but and we said it here before, at the club level is different. You're with your squad,
and you have 70 games to play.
Yeah, and you train on a daily basis, and yeah, you can implement all those ideas with the national team. You get a couple days and you see the team every few months. So,
hey, Joel,
yes.
Did you read the Tom Marshall's article about the 5 points or 5 questions to like the Sodio tractors? What did you think of his 5th point that like it was time? I think it was 4th or 5th. Like, it's time to listen to the players, and he's talking like, the players that he's interviewed, it's like they really support the team. I thought that to me is BS, because every player's gonna publicly say, publicly gonna say, oh yeah, we're doing,
even when Chepo was at the third bottom,
yeah,
players were saying he needs to stay, and they were gonna stay. Yeah, players are. We've seen it even with Ojitos when the team couldn't win. And
you think Tom was reaching with that point?
I mean, that says.
He's not a biased guy. I think he always tries to be fair. But I think when it comes to the national team, I think the more he covers the game, the more he's gonna realize that some of these things, they're just repeating themselves. So like for us viejitos, we've been there, we've seen it time and time again. So we're not surprised. We're not surprised to see that.
When players were getting behind Sven-Goran Eriksson, it's like, okay, whatever. It's like what John has said in the past is like about, it's like you want those interviews. You're tired of those goddamn cliches, It's like you want those honest answers, and you really rarely get them.
My only thing on this article was he discounted Piojo in like one sentence. Didn't really put why.
Yeah,
why it was backwards. A step, and it's like, well, at least explain it, because to me, the Osorio's team hasn't surpassed, at least personally, how Piojo's team played.
No, they haven't.
And they get criticized heavily for Gold Cup and how bad, but he won it. and
seriously, then that's the thing, though, is it, when do you want your team to peak? Do you want your team to peak in the Gold Cup in 2011 like it did for Chepo, which was just very unfortunate? We looking back, I don't know that's the reality, but it just it was really was tragic for Chepo, because he really is a good coach, and it just didn't work out for him. And then with La Volpe, it was 2005. Even with Hugo kind of had a mini peak with the Copa America, but he wasn't really done yet. I think his team was still on the way up. He never got a chance to see where they were going to be.
Wait, John, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think La Volpe's fatal mistake was leaving out Cuauhtemoc
and Bofo
in the World Cup.
Yeah, I think he let that he let his personal grudge get the best of him, and
Bofo. I would have taken Bofo more than Cuau, but I think those two players should have.
Our good friend Jason recently wrote about he wrote an article for 442 about about Cuauhtemoc and his leadership, and I think that hurt him.
Yeah, I mean it's what's killing Mexico right now. That people, I said that I had a little Twitter conversation with Nayib Moran after it was this week, and I talked about Chaton. And the reason I thought Chaton was going to be a national team fixture is because he is a leader. I mean, he is a guy that can rally the troops, that can get him going in a certain direction. Was he the best passer in the world? Absolutely not. But he was great in the air. He was good defensively. He got the ball back. Isn't that what he's supposed to do? And that's what he did very well. Could he put a 40-yard pass on a dime? No, but he could get it to guys that could. And it just he got injured, and it just never really worked out for him. And apparently now he's in the second division. But that's the kind of guy that Mexico needs. And I think it was supposed to be Chaton. It just his career, his career was derailed, and they haven't been able to. They don't have anybody that has any kind of leadership on that team. That has that kind of moxie. They just don't have it. It's not Guardado. Chicharito's trying. God bless him, but he just doesn't. He doesn't have the. You have to perform to be able to have that kind of pull, and no one has seemed to really get going with this national team. The fact that they still have to bring Rafa back, and God bless Rafa for being 38. To bring him back specifically, more for his role than for what he actually plays. We got a problem, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon.
John, I think well, not the same position. I think that maybe Gael Sandoval has a chance to become a leader on the national team if he gets his chance. I think he's almost a leader on the team now.
I was disappointed to see him not go to the Gold Cup. I thought that he would have been a slam dunk.
I don't think they need a leader. I mean, Rafa, I don't see him.
They desperately need a leader.
Well,
I agree. Desperately.
Rafa wasn't a leader. Germany.
Are you kidding me?
What?
Dude, Rafa, it was unquestioned,
in his game in
unqualified leader.
Tend to mute Chiquis.
No, in this game versus Germany, when was he rallying the troops and being a leader?
When he almost scored 2 goals.
Exactly.
Within a minute.
That's on
a minute of going in.
I know that's playing the game. That's not being a leader and rallying the troops.
What?
Dude,
that's doing an individual. That's
someone mute Chiquis.
Each person needs to go out and play.
No,
Chiquis, do we have to mute you?
Example.
Chiquis. Yeah, you sometimes when you're playing those type of games against those type of adversaries and stuff like that, and you're getting beat, sometimes you need that player that doesn't give a shit about the score. He just wants to play because he wants to beat that opponent bad, and not let other things affect him. And like, for example, Cuauhtemoc Blanco, he didn't care if you were Brazil, Germany. He didn't care, the circumstances. He was going to play full 90. And I think, what these guys, I guess what they're trying to say is that we don't really have that.
No.
So everyone is mental midgets.
It has nothing to do with that.
They need a Rafa to come in to boost their morale so that they won't be intimidated by a German.
All teams have, like,
you got the doctor, right?
You see it like Brazil when they lost Neymar at the World Cup, and there was a whole change in the team's morale.
But true. But I don't even think with Neymar, I don't think that result would have been that different because I think one of the best comments that I heard throughout the whole German ass raping of Brazil was that when Brazil was just getting their asses handed to them. One of the things that surprises, if you were to go back to the Brazil of the 80s, even to a certain degree the 90s, and they were started to lose 3-1 or 4-1. Okay, maybe it's not.
Make you pay for it.
Maybe they are not going to win a fair. They're not going to win a fair play award, but they're going to start hacking. They're going to start beating you. They were going to start getting dirty. Now you may not agree with that, but it's because you still have those players that cared. And maybe they're showing it the wrong way, and that's a valid discussion. But it's like with these guys, they were just taking it, and to a certain degree, I think European football has done that.
They made Brazil a sandwich.
They did. I mean, but Brazil quit being Brazil when the
for the past, I don't know, 7, 8 World Cups, they don't. They might have one guy that plays in Brazil, and the rest of them are, in Serie A or wherever.
Yeah, the criticism, John, has been that a lot of clubs have been catering to the European style. So a lot of times they favor the really tall, strong type player, and they will overlook a lot of their,
They're Brazilian players.
Man, my point was just that if the whole team needs one guy to step up to the example, then that's weak.
No, I'm not saying that the other guys aren't stepping up. What I'm saying is that there's just.
I don't think that
these guys have certain qualities that other players that on the team just don't have. Those are qualities that a team needs.
But if you look at a lot of the teams and the stories, if you hear the stories of the players, they always have that one player that can motivate or lift the player's spirits up. And I think one of the most famous ones is from the Maracanazo with Uruguay, and they're playing for the championship, and the Uruguayan the directivos, they go to the locker room before the game, and he says, he's like, just don't get embarrassed out there. But the team captain was like, he was like, F that noise, we could beat these guys. We're gonna play hard and we're gonna beat them, and players like that can make a big difference. And
that needs to be around the whole team, though. Every single Germany player is confident. Every single Chilean player.
But every single Mexico player is confident. That there's, I'm not questioning it. I'm just saying that the Germans had the one guy. It was, what was number 7? Was it Draxler?
Yes.
Who was the guy to set guys straight. It's not. It's like, hey man, we need to go do this. Then Mexico just. I remember in the 2011 Gold Cup, Rafa didn't play that much. Actually, I'm sorry, Rafa did play. It was Rafa and Torrado. I mean, there was no doubt who was calling the shots on the field in those games. I mean, both of them, the whole game, were pointing. They were telling everybody where. I mean, they were literal traffic cops. Yeah, I did. Did you see that when we played? When we watched them? Well, you were taking pictures. You probably. But it just doesn't happen as much. There's no one. There's just no. It just. There's a leadership void on this team, and no one has stepped in to fill the void.
Have you seen that video or that montage of Travis Pujols of basically setting his teammates straight?
Puyol? Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Captain Caveman?
No, no. But like, have you seen, like, for example, like one of his players is like, crying about something thrown on the field, and he just gets the shit from his hands, throws it back. He's like, dude, get back to play. Or like, I'm gonna try to find that video of Pujols, but I mean, it's like that type of player, dude. That is like, that just motivates his other players. He gets in their faces, and you see that in every sport. I mean, there's statistics, like, for example, with Lawrence Taylor, he was gonna get on his teammates' asses.
Man, Joel does it to us on this show. maybe not on camera or on the mic, but he motivates us to do better shows.
He's a stickler.
Yeah. Thank you, Jon.
That is true.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just someone needs to step up in that role. I personally thought it was going to be Chaton. It never came to pass, and they just they haven't had a guy like that. I mean, back in the '80s, it was Tomas Boy. I mean, there's a reason why they called him El Jefe. I mean, he, he was the boss on the field, and Benjamin Galindo was the same way in the '90s. I mean, that whole '90s team. I mean, there was a whole bunch of them on. I mean,
Beto Aspe, man.
Yeah.
I never saw him like nervous or anything.
They called Nacho Ambriz. His nickname was El Sargento, for God's sakes. I mean, you can't get any more.
Dude, even now, Beto has a commentary, dude. Do you see sometimes the eyes he gives Andres Marin, dude? It's like, dude, like he like looks at him, dude, with long stares, like he's like, dude, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you after this telecast. And like he spreads fear, dude.
El Beto. All right, so let's talk about this Gold Cup. What?
Sorry. Going back onto that, where teammates, spreading that type of fear. If you Google or if you YouTube the Centenario for America with Jose Ramon, where he has Patiño, Sague, Germán Villa. Thank you. I knew you were going to play that. Okay. Germán Villa is telling Jose Ramon a little anecdote about Sague and the way how intimidating he used to be. But it's a really funny bit. So you guys Google it. I thought I enjoyed it now.
So Saguinho was that guy? I could see that.
Saguinho was like that, but what made the bit funny was that Cuauhtemoc Blanco and Germán Villa, they kind of like Germán Villa was imitating Sague with his his Brazilian accent.
That's hilarious.
Watch it, dude. It's hilarious.
That is awesome. I'll have to watch that. We'll have to. Yeah, maybe we can get some drops out of that. That'll be good stuff. For that. All right, so let's move on to the Gold Cup. Now we will have coverage of the Gold Cup. I know that the Dan will be in. Dan, are you fully stocked and ready to go to the Gold Cup?
I am. I haven't gotten approved for the press conference yet, but I got the mix in. So yeah, I'll be there.
Excellent. No, and I'll be in Denver. Chiquis, we're hoping that you'll be in San Antonio, but you said it's iffy.
Yeah, it's doubtful right now, but we'll see.
But did you get accepted? You got accredited, right?
Yeah.
As a photographer?
It doesn't say, so I'll have to figure that out.
I don't think. Well, if you had to, probably had to apply as a photographer.
Okay. Either way, I'm going to try to for sure go to the Dallas one though, if the semifinal.
Excellent. Yeah. So we'll have that, and then I'll be in Denver, and I don't think we'll be able to get up to Santa Clara, but we'll definitely figure that out.
Who's eating ice cream?
Ice cream.
Oh, that's me.
You're gonna get a blue bomber.
Dan wants a Sunday flip, a junior flip.
Man, I tell you what, the junior flip. Did y'all ever have the Vampiro popsicles in Mexico?
I had a Vampiro at a bar.
Oh, the Vampiro in the
when I
bar
was 9.
Was that? Well, there's a Vampiro drink with tequila with salsa buffalo. Isn't that a Vampiro?
I don't know what was in it, but I had a few. It seemed like it was the only mixed drink they made at the place.
Oh, so a Vampiro popsicle was it was ciruela and Jamaica, and those were the two flavors. It was outstanding. I highly recommend them. If they don't make any more, they should be ashamed of themselves, because that really was a good one. But anyway, moving on to the to the Gold Cup. So I would assume that Mexico is going to play. The first game is it El Salvador? Is that the game you have, Dan? Mexico, Salvador.
Yep. And Jamaica, Curacao.
I have that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Curacao might be one of those little surprise teams like Guadeloupe that has a bunch of guys that maybe just have relatives from Curacao. A bunch of Dutch guys. So they could be a surprise team.
Cool.
Yeah. So that'll something to keep an eye on. Anywho, so what should we expect for this team, and who out of this team has a chance to make the jump to the next team?
I think anybody has a chance, really. I think we can look back at some of the previous Molero tournaments where they sent an alternate squad, and most of the time you're able to discover somebody, or someone's able to shine. And so
well, you're right.
Maybe something like Burrito. I'm thinking maybe he could, because I think his position is really thin. So, and maybe some guys at right back.
Orbelin. I would almost try out Orbelin at right back.
I honestly think Orbelin would have been part of the Confederation if it wasn't for the Gold Cup.
Yeah, you're probably right. You are probably right. Is he wearing the 10, Orbelin? Because he should.
I kind of have.
He is wearing the 10.
I kind of have a feeling that Arena's going to get the better of Osorio
with his alternate squad.
I think Arena's a practical guy, man. I think he's a practical coach.
This defense isn't as leaky though.
Dude, are you kidding? We saw him leaking all over the field at Reliant.
Cesar Montes, that's my pick.
Cesar Montes, Joel, you think that's the guy that's going to make the jump?
He should have been playing. I mean, we both saw it, John, at the Olympics. That Montes Salcedo pairing.
They were terrific.
And to not keep using that, to me, I think it's been a mistake. You know, and then he gets Salcedo, but he plays him on the wings. So I don't probably do the same with Montes.
Oh. Oh my God. No, yeah, Montes, definitely has an opportunity. I think Orbelin has an opportunity, although Dan says that, and he's right, that he probably would have been on the Confed Cup team had there not been a Gold Cup a week later. Who comes up with these schedules? And, another guy who unfortunately would have had a huge opportunity was going to be Alan Pulido, but it didn't work out for him. So now we have El Cubo. And, maybe this will get him back into the fray, but what should we expect from Cubo? Are we going to see some robot dancing?
We hope, right?
He needs some good services.
He needs some better moves. He only has the one. He needs to add to his repertoire. He needs to come up with some other robot moves. Like you can have the one for if he scores one goal, but if he gets a second goal, then he has to do something, like add to it, and then by the third one, he has to have his arms swinging down, like one of those robot moves. See, I say stuff, and I think that I'm being funny, guys, and all I get from you all is nothing. Just get nothing. Makes me sad.
Well, I have it on mute because I'm not sure if the audience is interested in listening to bedtime stories, but
right to myself because it's low.
Perhaps not.
Came up lame at the last time he was
Dan, unless they're Andrew Dice Clay's dirty rhymes, no.
Hickory dickory dock.
Yeah, you remember those, Dan?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said unless the nursery rhymes are from Andrew Dice Clay, nah.
You like
No.
gladiators?
You remember those nursery rhymes from Andrew Dice Clay?
Who doesn't?
Oh, okay, good.
So you think, Ron, that the USA is going to take this?
I kind of have a feeling. I think with the current climate that Mexican soccer is in right now, with the pressure and I think so. I think the U.S. is on the up and up, and I think that Osorio didn't convince people. After
the reality for the U.S. is that as you had mentioned how Mexico was in 2007 when Hugo took over, they're kind of a team in transition too. So it would surprise me at all to see if the U.S. has a good Gold Cup, which I think obviously they're going to. If this group of guys doesn't become the base for his World Cup team.
Who's off the team, or I guess you say, because I know it's a somewhat of an alternate squad that they're saying. So who, the notables who are on the team, like is Dempsey on there? I'm assuming Pulisic is.
No, that's they have the guy from FC Dallas, Kellen Acosta, who's terrific. Who's a really good player. I have an email that has
Jordan Morris, isn't it?
Yeah, Jordan Morris is there. Brad Guzan is their goalkeeper. So they have quite a few.
Because I think they're going to be a well-organized team. I just don't know how offensive they're going to be able to be.
They have Omar Gonzalez from Pachuca. They have Bessler. I think he's a regular in their senior team. They got some players.
Is that the guy that plays for Germany?
Because I know they're sending a pretty well experienced.
He's at
maybe not
Sporting
the-
now, Profe.
Hey, what's up, guys?
They have Joe
my
Corona.
Hang on a second, Joel, with Joe Benny Corona. Well, we'll get back to that roster just a second, but we do have to introduce Juan Uribe, who joins us for the first time in what appears like months. Coach, ¿qué onda?
Profe.
¿Qué onda? ¿Qué onda, Chilango?
¿Qué me dices, profe?
I mean, ¿qué onda, John? Aquí todo
All right.
chévere.
So who else is on the
¿Qué hubo con el qué hubo, profe?
Hey, Habib.
Well, they have Brad Kusan, so he started for them before as their goalkeeper. Just going to the names that I remember. Defenders Bessler, Gonzalez, and Graham Susi.
They have Matt Hedges Miazga, who is on Chelsea, was Jorge Villafana from Santos is on this team. They have Paul.
They have a
Paul
Chelsea
Arriola.
player. Does that guy start, or is he in their youth team?
So what is this going to save to Osorio in the FMF? If let's say that like these guys like Omar Gonzalez and Paul Arriola and Joe Benny end up making the World Cup team and having a pretty decent World Cup, that is Liga MX good enough to produce players for the US's national team but not for Mexico's?
I think that's been the case for a long time. I think it's only recently where we're being kind of Euro snobs. Even with the Guardado to Betis, I might be in the minority. I don't see how that's a good move.
Well, I mean, he's 30 years old, so he's going to get. I mean,
He's going down.
Yeah, but at PSV, he's more of a team leader. He played Champions League. Betis, he's gonna be what?
like 12th in the league if they're lucky.
Yeah, relegation zone.
Who's his manager at Betis?
Oh man, no idea.
Because I know, nuestro estimado Beto Campa, he took a pay cut just so he could be on this star-studded cast here with CantinaMX. Maybe that's what Guardado's doing.
Did you say Guardado's taking a pay cut, or he's getting a pay raise?
Oh, it's the manager's
Quique
Setien.
One or the other.
All right, so the U.S. roster is not necessarily an alternate roster. I mean, they've got quite a few names on here, so it's like
Question, John.
Yes, coach.
Is Sebastian Leggett on that roster, or?
What position does he play?
Midfield, I think.
They have Arriola, Bedoya, Corona, McCarty, Acosta, Roldan, Rowe. No, it doesn't look like it.
Sebastian Leggett?
Yeah, he's not on there. But Dom Dwyer is, and Juan Agudelo. So I mean, this is a pretty strong team for the U.S. I mean, don't. Yeah, but like I said, I think with the names on here, it would not shock me at all if more than a handful of these guys end up on their World Cup team in 2018. So this is, and so who would that be then for this team? I know that we mentioned a couple of guys. I mean, how many guys, even in the 2013 Gold Cup, there was like 4 or 5 players from Mexico that ended up on the World Cup team. And in the 2009 Gold Cup, if y'all remember, that became the base of the Gold Cup team, were the youngsters. That's when we were, for whatever reason, we were very excited because we had a bunch of 20-year-olds that were playing on the senior side, playing pretty well.
Hey, John, I got another question for you.
Yes, Coach.
Maybe Tony can answer this. Now, let's say this based squad for the U.S. And they're basically going up against the Jose Luis Real and his colleagues, the players they have produced for Liga MX. Let's say.
Are you really asking me this question, or are you asking me this question by proxy?
Hold on. Let me finish.
All right.
So that's the background of my question. My question is, what does that mean for the Jose Luis Reales of the Mexican League if this MLS team beats the MX squad?
Well, they have like 5 guys from Liga MX on the squad. So, but anyway, I think that's a question that I can't answer. I'm going to pass that question along to my esteemed colleague Joel, who I think would be better equipped to answer this question, because I don't think it was directed at me anyway.
I think Profe Cambia Rayas knows. He's just trolling. Oh.
Unidos y divididos por el amor a la camiseta. Esto es Chiva contra Chiva.
It's been a while since we've had a good Chiva contra Chiva. So go ahead, Joel. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to change your. But that does bring up a so what is that going to do to Liga MX if the U.S. wins this with MLS base?
No, it's not going to do
frankly
anything.
Could very well happen.
It's
but
nothing.
So is it a moot point?
I mean, because look at just the mentality. Even when things go well, we just, the league doesn't take advantage. You had the 2011 rule, and some good players came out of that, and the clubs protested against having that rule. In the past, you had Chivas doing really good with using their youth system. That, now you have Pachuca, but majority of teams still don't care enough. It's not going to do anything. You see the youth teams win, and then the players return, and they don't get any playing time. And the players that they beat end up coming to play in Mexico and
taking their jobs.
Yeah, pretty much. Because the difference being those players got playing time in their respective leagues.
I mean, also, would it really matter? I mean, if as far as comparing leagues, I wouldn't think it would matter at all.
I don't think it matters, but this is a Mexican team that's the based championship GOAT team against MLS / Liga MX non-Chivas teams, which would be, subcampeones, or not. They're not even Tigres, so.
And in the case of Omar Gonzalez, he was actually at Chivas handle the pressure of being called gringo. So I wonder how Jolie deals with that pressure. Jolie, when you get called gringo, how do you react?
It's never happened, so I don't know, man. I niveles.
It'll happen, dude.
I get called gringo all the time.
I get called gringo all the time. You gotta actually go to Mexico.
You're all in Mexico?
What do you mean? Jolie never been to Mexico?
It's been years, man.
Yeah, if you go to, unless you don't have an accent. Like I go to Mexico, I'll have a slight accent.
I only get referred to as si patron.
Milik.
That's
Milik.
Milik or si patron.
Well, I always get the estoy aquí para servirle, señor.
I'm sure that's not all they call you.
What are you talking about, Dad?
They say manda usted, and I was like, okay.
It's funny that you guys are talking about the U.S. a lot. I think that there's a team in this Gold Cup that I think could very well steal it.
Costa Rica?
And it's
Panama.
And you think Panama too? Well, I thought Panama was bringing the kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they need to, man.
Do you think El Salvador is going to throw it away?
I think they learned their lesson, Ron.
We need to bring our friend back, El Pájaro Picón, to talk about it.
That was too bad for us because they actually had a pretty decent crop of young players. That was
That's what they get for demanding Gatorades, John.
that's right. And then when Carlos de los Cobos was there, there were a couple of games, and didn't he beat Vasco?
Yeah, in the home game.
Yeah,
I think it was Vasco's first match.
yeah.
It's interesting. One of the things he complained about was that the national team did not have their own training fields.
No.
And that they had to borrow the club, one of the club's a stadium to play in. Yeah, facilities, and that was one of his demands. He had like a list of demands if he was to stay, but I mean the money, the people just didn't want to put the money, or the money wasn't there.
I got a question.
Fire.
Probably will incite Ronnie, but a scenario where Osorio would be fired in the Confederation Cup, in my mind, would have been if they would have gone up against Chile instead of Germany. And Chile wasn't going to have mercy. I think Germany was merciful. Chile probably would have beat Mexico 5-1. But in this Gold Cup scenario, what would be the situation where Osorio, would get even more heat? Like, say if he lost to the U.S.
But he's not coaching the Gold Cup. We got the other guy coaching.
No, I heard he is
back. I heard he's coming.
Yeah, I heard he already took over the reins.
Yeah, he started placing cones over the field and started talking strategy. No, but Beto, I don't think that even not winning the Gold Cup, Osorio's there for Russia.
Okay.
Like that's just.
So even for Mexico, this tournament is not really a big deal.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it's a huge deal because,
they need to save face.
No, you win this, and at least you have half your ticket. You have half your ticket to the Confederations Cup in Qatar. And and if they don't, they're gonna have more pressure come what is it, 2019, when they play the other Gold Cup. And if that's the case, if the U.S. wins this one, I have a feeling because by that point, U.S. is going to have a lot less pressure for the 2019. So it is a big deal. And for them, that's like, oh, we don't need to win it. I think that's just the wrong attitude.
And, I was about to comment that, or ask you guys a question if you thought that this was more of the Molero Gold Cup, the one with, with lesser players attending, and maybe the next.
I almost feel like this off one, if they got rid of that ridiculous, Blazer Bowl thing, that if they're gonna continue to have this tournament, to just go ahead and make it a U23. Because let's face it, the Mexico fans will go see anybody in a green shirt, and that's a big reason why this tournament is held every 2 years.
And because Mexico fans, yeah, you're right.
So I mean, whether it's a U23 or whatever it is, that there will be fans there, and there'll be fans there for Honduras, and there'll be fans there for El Salvador, and
yeah, because those guys get to see their team even less.
Right. So there will always be fans for the Gold Cup. And so it just doesn't matter who they trot out. So just make it a U23. I mean, and it would actually help. It would help the region because it would give everybody a chance to give the players that kind of experience. And that way you give your proper senior players, you give them summer off. I mean, they need to get back to their team's preseason. I mean, how many guys are going to be behind and aren't going to be worth a snot to their club teams until like 8-9 weeks into the season because they're playing this tournament?
Let them go on vacation, man. These Confederation Cup players, are having some fun vacation, from what I'm seeing on Instagram.
God bless them. Where are we, Chickies? Where's Giovanni vacationing right now?
Probably LA, but Jonathan is, I think, somewhere in Spain.
Well, he's in love.
Oh yeah, but
He
official,
made it official. He's in love.
Who's that?
Oh, yeah.
Beto?
It wasn't
Jonathan?
Beto. It wasn't anyone on this panel. Sadly, I know that. We're hoping to get that rose, but it wasn't any of us. No, it's some, I don't know what it is, just some lady, some lucky lady who has made Jonathan the luckiest man on the planet right now. He's the. Well, that's good that they're vacated. They need the vacation. They need to let off some steam. I got no problem with that. So is
For
this
you married guys, do you guys use a lot of the Instagram, like the whole with the your better halves and stuff like that, or not?
Ronnie? I have seen the Wonder Woman trailer like 150 times.
Oh. Wait, what was the question? It's like Beto posted the one with Javier Aquino and his girl today. So do I post pictures of on Facebook? It's all about the kids.
couple pictures.
A couple pictures? No, not really. It's mostly the kids.
The wife will do that. I don't do that.
When we go somewhere, we'll take selfies. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, sure.
I only post stuff on Facebook when I'm traveling somewhere cool. I don't want people to be jealous that I'm going to someplace cool.
Part of me gets a little bit paranoid. That's why sometimes I'm like, I don't like, I never bring it up most of the time, just because I don't like to live post anything, just because I'm paranoid of, because then they know I'm not home. A lot of bad people out there.
Strong social media lessons from Escondido.
I know a lot of people.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, dude. I was it during the 2000 the Euro Cup, the 2000 the last one that Spain won. I was on my lunch break and I had met up with my my business partner and we went to go eat at a restaurant. And he made the point.
That's a lot of code words you just used.
No, but what happened was that he tagged me. He tagged me that we were at this place, and next thing you know, my phone starts beeping, my phone starts ringing, and I start getting text messages with a couple clients. It's like thinking that I was lying to them, that I was going to be somewhere. It just turned into a whole huge mess. So that's like why I don't really like. One of the reasons why I don't like, doing the whole social media thing, like religiously, I don't really like people knowing where I'm doing or where I'm at. I'll post it usually after the fact, but rarely.
You know what I find amazing about the whole social media thing?
Yeah,
is for some folks to just have the need to update something like 30 times a day. That's what I don't get about that. It's like, well, I don't. Just boggles the mind. I'm kind of like you, Ronnie. I want to, if I'm going to do anything, I usually try and do it like in a, like in some role that I've accepted for myself on Twitter. So just very strange.
Yes. Like I rarely do things live. I'll post things like after the fact, or stuff like that. It's just, learn my lesson,
It's like an after-school special.
Yep.
Do they still air those? Is that still a thing, or am I really showing my age?
What's that?
After-school specials. You only know what I'm talking about?
That's no longer a
No,
thing.
they're done.
Okay.
Done.
Just
After G.I. Joe, whenever they would be the little learning lesson.
But even like those movies, I'm pretty sure all the stuff is done.
You learned a lot of strong, a lot of long, strong, powerful messages watching those.
Now we just need to know what's lit and all that stuff,
Was it lit? What are we? Are we lit and woke? Is that what we are now?
Woke, trending.
Well, obviously, the CantinaMX podcast is all of those things. We are indeed all of those things. So does Mexico make the final of this thing? I mean, that's really the only way, the only barometer you can judge. I mean, are they going to make the final? Or do they make the final on this? Dan, do they make the final?
I'm gonna say no.
Dan says no.
Savage. I think they do.
All right. Chicky says they do. Joel, do they make the final?
I'm gonna go with. Well,
Joel, you okay?
it's hard to know without seeing who they could play
Yeah, same here.
on the way to the
Oh,
final. I mean,
seriously.
just throwing out a guess out there because I mean, they could play in the semifinals, Costa Rica or U.S. and I'll say it could be a coin toss.
There's no
between
way
those
they're
two.
going to play. They're playing U.S. in the semifinals. And I'm not sure if Costa Rica. It's just not going to happen. And they've come up with every scenario to prevent that from happening, and that's how they see the groups. It's just the reality. But as long as they're either in first or second in the group,
We played them before,
it's
John.
not going to happen.
The very first Gold Cup.
That was the
The
very first Gold
1990.
Cup when it wasn't even on TV. It was on closed circuit.
I guess they learned their lesson. But I think they have the talent to be in the final.
Yeah, but I'm not sure where Costa Rica falls, but
You know, I'll be honest. I haven't seen none of the Moleros. I didn't see the Paraguay or the Ghana.
well, I mean, but you know who's on
I
the team,
haven't
so
seen
you
the
know what
team
they're.
playing.
It's not like they're taking a bunch of cartuchos quemados from Liga MX.
No, it's true. But those 8-player cambios, you know, they just don't sit well with me. So I don't. You know, if we see.
Well, to be fair, they said that they weren't going to make the 8-player cambio until after the first 2 games.
Oh, well, I mean, I could see what.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead, Juan.
Oh well, I mean, I could see why, and that's because and then we said at the last show, Osorio wanting 7 players from the Confederaciones to come into the Gold Cup. To me, that leaves me sabor amargo, John. That's like, you know, to me, it's like I'm not too confident with this squad.
Okay, if logic holds, which is their group winner C, in the quarterfinals they would face the third in Group A or B, and that's probably looking more like French Guiana and either Nicaragua or Martinique. Okay.
Okay, yeah, we got this.
Okay, so then in the semifinals, if logic holds, they would be facing the runners-up of Group C or Group A. So Group C would be most likely El Salvador. Group C, and what did I say? Group A.
Uh-huh.
And that would be either Honduras or Costa Rica, which I think probably most likely will be Honduras. So
could be Canada. Could be Canada too.
Canada is what group are they?
They're in Group A.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Group A,
could be Canada.
Group A. So
if Costa Rica wins the group, they're going on the other side of the bracket.
I think looking at the schedule here, I think they can make the final. It's like, you know, I think that really the teams that are most likely to win it is either going to be the U.S., Mexico, or Costa Rica. I really don't give the other teams a chance.
So, Ron, are you saying that if Costa Rica and the U.S. win their group, then they get thrown on the same side of the bracket?
Well, their group winners B is U.S. No, yeah, their B, and Costa Rica is A. So yeah, they would be seeing each other in the semifinals.
Okay.
If logic holds.
So it could be a Mexico-Costa Rica final, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, the U.S. team is a strong team, but let's face it, this is CONCACAF. It's not like, you know, every teams are a juggernaut. It's just not going to happen.
And will Geiger referee the semis?
Did he go? Wasn't he the only one that went to the Confed Cup of CONCACAF?
Yeah.
Geiger?
Yes. He was the CONCACAF.
12-player Geiger too.
That was a good one.
The 12th fan.
Secret agent Geiger. To
Do you honestly think that you don't think that his
No, I
whistles
think
were for legitimate infractions?
I do think they were legit, and what surprises me a lot is how much the Mexican media cries when
Things
like
go their way.
the noise penal. No, when calls go against us, like not a penal and other stuff like that.
Right.
And then they finally did, and all they could do is is say corruption and all this stuff.
Yeah, the dude on Univision was
that was
ashamed of himself. I think that was Edgar Martinez. I used to really like that guy. I thought he was an entertaining announcer. I thought he brought a lot of enthusiasm and just a lot of humor, honestly, to his shtick. It was, and I liked it. But after that, I was like, dude, that's just you can't do that.
Yeah, John. If we had that VAR system, Geiger would have did nothing wrong.
That's right. You're absolutely 100% right.
But everyone was going for our throats, John, and that was just the perfect scenario to
That was in the nascent stages of this podcast, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, I think we may have done one that night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or were we 2-0?
No, that was Cachirules. That was actually when we were dress rehearsing. I don't even think we were even recording those. Wow. That was when we'd get off the call and you and Profe would have your 6-hour
Chivas power hour.
Chivas catharsis.
So hey, we do have the Salvadorian Joel, or what's his name? Joel Aguilar.
Yeah.
And we do have Mark Geiger. Joel Aguilar, he's a
pretty good ref.
Yeah, another amigo del Tri.
Yeah, he did the 2011 Gold Cup. He did the 2015 Gold Cup.
Yeah, but both those games were very well officiated. I have no issues with him.
Yeah.
He's a good ref.
He also did the 2011.
And I guarantee you, he'll be the ref in the final.
Does FMF send Geiger a fruit basket on holidays?
Who are the Mexican refs, Ron, that are going to be in the tournament?
Hold on, I was just looking at that. The Mexican refs, Garcia Orozco, Fernando Guerrero, Cesar Arturo Ramos. Those are the referees, and then the assistants are going to be Jose Luis Camargo.
I don't care about the assistants.
Okay. Okay, so
I couldn't tell you who the assistants.
All right, so
actually, I don't recognize any of those names, to be honest with you. I guess that's a good thing because you don't want refs to be like, quote unquote superstars.
All right. Okay. For Jair Marufo is for the U.S. Also, Mark Geiger. I'm not familiar with Armando Villarreal from the U.S., but I do know Marufo, and I knew Marufo. I think he's also a friend of the three. I think he was asking for autographs of the Mexican national team.
Yeah, he was posing for selfies on Instagram with
yeah.
Comparing abs with Guardado.
Let me see. I'm not sure if that's there was a
Amigos del Tri.
There was a Panamanian referee who's also kind of a friend del Tri, but I don't see him. And there was also I think a Jamaican one, but I don't see him either.
I'm sure they will make new friends in this tournament.
It's better.
CONCACAF is Mexico's friend, so that'll ensure a Mexico-U.S. final.
Well, the bid committee now is finally official now.
It's official, yeah. And they put your boy Yon de Luisa, who was if I'm not mistaken, he was the mero mero of the 2011 youth U17 in Mexico.
Yeah,
that's the guy I personally thought should have been running Liga MX, or at least I think he'll be running the federation one day for sure.
Yon de Luisa?
I thought he'd be next, yeah. But he actually has at least some, soccer knowledge in addition to the other stuff. So I don't think it would be a terribly bad choice. But he's a perfect choice for this.
Hey, guys. Can you hook it up?
Hey, so Profe, is Mexico going to make the final of the Gold Cup or not?
No, man. They're gonna. I think it's gonna be tough.
I think they have the easiest
Panama has
path
the
now that
number.
I look at it.
I mean, if you're saying they're playing Martinique or Nicaragua at the quarterfinals, and then Canada or Honduras as a or El Salvador in the semis, then yeah, they have
They have
they should make it without any problem.
Yeah, they have the easiest. Now that I look at it, they do have the easiest.
This is Osorio's specialty too. These
he is
Moleros, that's what he's gonna.
He's gonna study the hell out of Curacao.
We could have that coach rotaciones, and Osorio could just coach.
Are you guys sure that Osorio's coaching the Gold Cup?
Yeah, sir.
You know what? Who would coach Mexico for the World Cup games though? Because I mean, to be honest, the only guy who's so far done anything worth.
Well, Profe, has your phone rung? Has your phone been ringing at all?
You know what?
No, I'm talking about you, Coach.
Yeah. No. You know what it is Habib over there, the curry maker. He's been he's blackballing from going big time.
It's because you need to get your coaching licenses in order. They're not. You gotta pay, dude. You gotta pay to play.
Are you gonna have to go to Nicaragua to get your coaching license, Profe?
Hey, speaking of which,
it's faster in Honduras, bro.
Hey, speaking of which, watch the interview on YouTube with La Volpe, where he's talking about just coaching in general. And Diego Latorre was they were talking about. In fact, what's his name? La Volpe was trying to convince Latorre to basically get his act together and start coaching. And Diego Latorre, which I have a lot of respect for, both as a player and as a commentator. Those are some of the few guys that when I listen, I learn new things. I don't really say that about too many people, but Latorre is one of those guys that I do like listening to. But anyhow, he's arguing. It's like, no, La Volpe, it's just I don't have the coaching license. And then La Volpe was just like cracking up. But you played. You don't need those papers. And it's like, go pay somebody 1,000 pesos and get your papers. You gotta watch that exchange, dude. It was hilarious.
John, he did. Osorio did join up with the team, and he has taken over. And today a picture came up where he's wearing this shirt, and it says, "This is what his shirt says: improbable ganar si no asumimos la posibilidad de perder."
Huh?
It's improbable to win if we can't assume the possibility of losing.
See what you said,
I
understand the words. It's just like, what the hell?
That's his message, man.
Confucius.
It's always
so he's putting the message of losing in the players' heads from the first practice.
Well, I guess I don't understand why you have to assume the possibility that you might lose. I don't get it.
Basically, he's saying that you got to speculate. Dude. Saying you basically have to speculate to accumulate. That's what he's basically trying to say.
But hey, going off Profe Cambiarrayas.
Is that a rap song?
Now,
hang on.
If you do look at a lot of Osorio's comments, they are rather just kind of seems like he reworded them or something. Like it's pretty simple, but then it's like he does this Cantinflas stuff.
He's been reading the Art of War, man. That's what it is.
He'll say stuff like the Mexican players Fibra 1A and Fibra 2B and stuff like that. Yeah, I was going to.
En tiempos de guerra, cualquier hoyo es trinchera type of type of sayings,
No, I was going through some of his old, quotes.
No, I'm glad that the prof is on with us because I did want to ask him about. To me, I guess for all of us, I can't speak for all of you, but at least for me, the one most glaring tactical miscue that Mexico had in the Confed Cup was how terrible their defense was positioned when they gave away the ball in the midfield and would just get caught out just constantly, even against the Leicester team, just get caught out constantly. Profe, what do you do to fix that?
What do you mean? Besides fire Osorio?
Well, no, because that's not going to happen. So you have to fix it. So fix it.
Well, the one thing I noticed against New Zealand is he didn't have any type of center mid player in the field, and so he brought in Hector Herrera in the second half, and he kind of lucked out, and the problem fixed itself. But now I was reading stuff that they said that Hector Herrera is not a defensive player or not a defensive mid.
He's not.
But that's the role that he's been asked to play in Porto. The thing is, I don't know, man. You got to put in, I guess, you got to put in a defensive mid.
Profe, you are disappointed. I thought that you were our tactical genius, and here you are telling me I don't know.
To be honest, John, the games were during my work hours. And, I mean, there's a few observations that I saw. Like a lot of people, they were upset that Vela didn't play. I think it was against Germany. And I mean, I saw him against Portugal, and he had a terrible. He didn't have a good.
He did not have a good tournament.
Yeah, he didn't have a good tournament. So he wasn't a no-brainer, but still, I mean, that's the guy I was expecting. You throw him in there, maybe he shows up.
Why on earth would you want to use your best player in your most important game? I mean,
Prof, I guess what they're trying to ask you is, how do you maintain order while still maintaining a high press and exposing and advancing your back line?
How do you maintain order?
Yes.
Well, with this team, how you maintain order is.
Well, how do you maintain order? We don't care about what this do. How do you do it?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, me? I
just hack. I just tell my players to hack the other players. It's a tactical foul. See, you didn't think about that, did you?
I think speaking of, it might sound funny, but we were looking at the stats of the Germany-Mex game, and Germany had more fouls on Mexico. Tactical.
Yeah, they're tactical. It's like right now, if I could upload that image of that dude, like pointing to his brain, it's like that logic. I have to show you. It's a funny meme. But no. The question is, like for you with your kids and stuff like that, how do you maintain order in the back line when you're pressing high, when you're pressing and your lines are advanced?
You players to work extra hard when they lose the ball. They can cover your back line, and when you have players like in this case, if the team's playing very fluid, players are exchanging positions or ending up in territory they're not you don't usually see them in, then you just need awareness of where there's or communication, I should say, and awareness between the players to know what they have to be covering. Now in this case, the Germany game, I was listening to it on the radio. I actually I kept hearing I think it was the right winger going up against Alanis.
Oh, he crushed the whole first half.
Yeah, and he basically, I mean, he finished the game within minutes, and they were able to find him for a counterattack every time. So I think what you do is, I mean, what needs to happen is right away. In English, in American terms, they call it a transition from the frontline players to press the hell out of the ball, so they can't get that long pass, that long searching pass out of there.
Well, the biggest problem was that he just wasn't fast enough to keep up with the guy. If you had anybody speed to keep up with the guy, it wouldn't have been as big a problem. But I mean, when the guy is, always 3-4 steps ahead of the defender, you're gonna have a hard time stopping that guy. That was the biggest problem.
Did you ever watch that video? Did you ever watch that video of Henry?
Question for you guys. Do you think Layun would have been able to keep up with him?
No. Like Layun was
If he wasn't pushed up,
maybe a little bit faster, but not that much faster.
if he wasn't pushed up all the way, he could have. Whatever happened to like playing back, like when the guy had the ball on the dribble, you don't run up to him and try to take it away. You play back and let him have his space, especially if you're pushed up. They didn't do that at all, and they got smoked. Layun got smoked on the wings. Everybody did.
But then the worst part for Mexico is that they'll triple team a guy, and yet nobody will make a commitment to go after the guy.
They'll triple team a guy, and then the guy on the other side will wide
right,
open.
exactly. Yeah, they triple team him, and then he'll just find the guy who's open because they actually never attack the guy. It's like, dude, if it's 3-on-1 and somebody go after him.
It's funny you guys are crying. You're crying out for Boca. His teams knew how to do that. They knew how to double team.
You know, there's a video of Henri talking about Guardiola's tactics, and he was given an anecdote that there was this one instance where he went outside of his zone to relieve one of his players that was getting pressed, and to go for the ball, and eventually he got the ball and stuff like that, and he went in for the score, and then like at halftime, boom, Guardiola basically benched Henri, and he kept going on and on about how he was just giving an instance on TV as to one of the things that they would do starting from the back line was it didn't matter if the players were getting pressed, is that they would have to figure out a way to basically get out of that situation and pass the ball to their next open guy without the other guy, the teammate, doing the natural thing of trying to go over there closer to his zone and getting the pass to the relief. So basically what would happen is that player, obviously you have to have talented center backs and fullbacks to do this, is that they would break the press and then find the open guy, but by getting pressed by one or two guys, obviously now you've opened up more passing lanes going forward. And like
Ranjit, I saw that.
What's that?
Flip too, and I think the point across that got across to me was that because I think in that situation, TTMD ended up scoring, right? And so that's kind of what pissed off Guardiola, is he didn't listen to his instructions, and then he was like successful. So in a way, he upstaged him.
The ego couldn't take his ego couldn't take it.
Yeah. To me, I think I don't know. It was like.
Do you get mad at your kids when you tell them to do something? They do the exact opposite and they score anyway. Do you give your kids the business when that happens? Profe?
No, it's the goal is circumstantial. It's the play, it's the building up that is not. That takes practice, that takes patience, that takes work, team effort, and stuff like that. The goal can come in an array of ways. It can come from a gift from the referee. It can come from a free kick, a corner kick, and stuff like that. But learning to play and stuff like that. I think that's if you watch that video, that's what you're supposed to get out of it.
Whoa, are you turning away from your inner La Puentista?
Puente's always been about order. That's one of the things that I've always said about La Puente is that balance.
So it's sort of like the movie Hoosiers, where Gene Hackman has them passing 5 times before they shoot, but the one guy decides to disobey and start shooting threes like crazy and start scoring all kinds of threes.
It's funny you say that. Yeah, it is in a way kind of like that. That it's yes, the opening, a good open shot could be there, but I think what he was trying to to tell his team is to start working for your shots, the high probability shots.
So, Profe.
That's a good movie, by the way, Beto.
Yeah, it's real good.
What's that?
Yep, it's real good. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
What was that? What was the flavor
the name,
of chewing gum?
The name of the team is actually Milan, by the way. It wasn't Hickory. It was Milan. Just
I guarantee you, they pronounced it Milan.
Yeah, true. Milan, but it was Milan.
But we digress. Well, gentlemen, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I know that there's some of the little preseason stuff going on. Good to see your boy Linus playing for America, Ron. If you're we've talked about this all the time. If you have the talent, does it really matter how old you are to play? And Joel always points out that the guys that we think are coming into their own. He's like, but they're 23, they're 24. So it's good to see a 17-year-old.
No,
coming into his own.
Menotti's always been right about that. There's no old players or young players. There's only good players and there's bad players.
Hey, since
Torito
you guys,
Silva, what happened to him?
since you guys,
El Torito Silva.
Hold on.
What about El Gaucho Avila?
Hey, Torito Silva, he got signed by Guatemala, a team from Guatemala, right?
hey,
What's up,
Gauchito
Chiquis?
retired, man. He had a career-ending injury. He's done.
Who's this?
Gauchito Avila.
Oh,
He's one of the quemados along with Torito.
And el homie.
and homie.
That's right. Homie was on that team too.
Cambia Patrias.
Since you guys bring up Mexican League, let me play you this clip real quick.
All right.
Mexican League.
Pero su fútbol es una cagada.
yes, good. I want to talk about this.
Más miraría un partido de fútbol mexicano.
Hey, dudes, did Chivas ever end up finding that Chava guy?
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, the
was it
Chillon?
Hector? No, yo eres Hector. Was it Hector?
No,
Chava.
yo es Chava. Cálmate, Chava.
No seas así.
I'll
Te
tell you
están
what, man.
tus
When
hijos.
Cruz Azul finally does win, and they will, they need to bring both Lady Máquina and Lady Cementera to the let them ride on the bus.
Ooh, is that the one?
In fact, one time on this show, I think we had I was playing a clip from one, and Chiquis was playing a clip from the other. We had dueling ladies,
Lady Cementera.
Lady Cementera and Lady Máquina. They need to be on the. But anyway, so I think Ron, that you'd requested an opening tirade.
No. Did you guys get upset by what the RG commentator said?
I will answer. I personally did not. I don't really care about stuff like that, but that's just me. But
Yeah, me too. Me same thing. I didn't care. I just think that this guy's an idiot, not because, obviously he's entitled to his opinion, but I just think that professionally, I think this guy's an idiot because why would you basically as far as professionally speaking, if he wanted to move to a bigger markets, i.e. Mexico, i.e. the United States, why the hell would you piss off the markets that are basically going to give you access to larger markets? You know what I mean?
I'm sure he knows he's not. And he was just doing to get a ratings boost.
Yeah, exactly.
Mexico, with social media, I think Mexico dominates in the Spanish-speaking world.
That's what I'm saying, Joel.
But even his follow-up, and he was talking about how he's like, to all of you Mexicans that are trashing me on, and he goes to name on Instagram, Twitter, so I mean, I think he was expecting it, and
no, I think he was, but it's going to be just one of those random, like, week thing or 2 week, 3 weeks.
Yeah, people will forget about it in 2 weeks.
We'll forget it because that happened last year with this other reporter.
The one that was trashing Benedetto.
I don't think he was Benedetto. He was I forget. He was also trashing the Mexican League. But the point is, people were talking to him for about 2 weeks or what, and then people forgot about him. But my point is that these guys wanted to grow and get into larger markets and be known. It's like you're basically pissing off a base that basically allows. I mean, think about it. There is no other. The Mexican community, the Mexican football community, give foreign reporters and journalists an opportunity to work covering Mexican soccer. It's like, look, how many Chileans, how many Colombians, how many Argentinians, how many reporters work in Univision, Telemundo, and
yeah. Well, that's La Volpe said. He brought up that point. He's like, when you criticize Mexican soccer, you're also criticizing all of the Argentines that work over here.
Yeah. So it's like, I just think.
Half the players are from Argentina in the Yankees. Let's be honest.
And coaches, John.
So it's
Yeah.
like to
It
me,
was just a troll. It was a troll
he's,
job for
he's
the.
a troll. He's
Of
a
course
troll.
it was.
It doesn't bother me. I'm just thinking the guy's like, what an idiot, dude. You know, he's
No,
just
it's a real it's a cynical, just but yet entirely 100% expected way to garner publicity and some kind of social media bump. And hopefully, like y'all said, people will forget about it in 2 weeks. But now this guy's gotten, now he's made himself known that he's taken this position, and something tells me that even though we would hopefully forget about it, I think that it's something that's probably going to stick around for a while.
I do think
especially if it goes back into if they go back into the Libertadores.
I think it is a demonstration of the Argentinian arrogance, though.
Well, if it goes back to the Libertadores, John, and you have Santander, who is, or whoever the sponsor is going to be, they're going to want people like him far away from the microphones, because for the most part they're going to want the Mexican teams in there,
Right.
And they're not going to want guys like this guy. He's like, dude, Jesus Christ, I think Argentina's got population of 30 million, whereas the United States has 50 million Hispanics, and most of them are Mexican, and then not to mention the 100 million Mexicans in Mexico.
But he's not even in one of the main shows, Ron.
I know.
Yeah, I mean that's why.
I just thought that this guy's just a stupid, like he's an idiot. Not because of his opinion. It's valid. What he can have his own opinion. It's just professionally, you just kind of have to pick your battles, And I just don't think
they're cussing like crazy on that show. And the one thing that discredited everything he said was that he's not competitive.
That he doesn't watch the games.
The worst league in the world could be competitive. That has nothing to do with like how good your league is.
Well, it discredits him that he didn't watch games. So yeah. It's like, how would you know then? Yeah.
So he's like most people that make those kind of claims on an internet.
Yeah.
On the internet, not on internet. Good Lord.
The internets. But we also did get to hear this great gem from the great Carlos Albert.
Si él adora a la chilindrina, pues yo a la concha de su madre.
Oh, I'll stop it there.
Carlos Albert with going blue on us. That's
he's hilarious.
Cheeky. I don't know what to say. That's
he had to take it to the Argentinians with Argentina slang.
That is pretty fun. All right, gentlemen, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Coach, thank you very much for finally joining us. Once again, we do appreciate you taking the time. We appreciate the fact that you are a very busy man. So I know that for you to find time to join us is extra difficult. So we do appreciate you doing it. Thank you, Coach.
Hey, Coach.
Dan, you are going to San Diego this weekend to watch the Mexico. I guess down. Is it at the Murph?
Yes, it is.
And did you get parking too?
Indeed. Well,
wow,
I got to pick it up. I'm gonna go tomorrow and pick it up. So, but yeah.
That is fantastic. Good for you.
Yeah, hopefully I get the press conference, and then yeah, it should be fun. It's my first Mexico game, so first official game, so it'll be cool.
Yeah, you should. If you want to get audio from a player, just use your phone.
Yeah, I did that, and I also bought a couple of battery packs, so I'm somewhat prepared actually this time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing your report next week, and you'll have to give us all of the information as far as how things are in the press box.
I'll be sure to send everyone photos of the meal.
What are your expectations now in the Murph? It is an open air press box. I don't know if you're aware of this or not.
Open air?
Yeah, it's not glassed in.
No, it's not, and it's supposed to be a warm day.
Oof. So you may want to bring shorts Is that appropriate to wear in the press box? Joel, would you wear shorts in the press box? Are you like
No,
Tony?
it's not. No, it is not, sir.
It is not appropriate to wear shorts.
No. No.
What about man capris? Can you wear man capris in the press box? Joel?
Only thing I could say is hay niveles, John.
So not even so. Joel says no shorts, no man capris. So you're gonna have to go.
I've seen people wearing them, but you know.
I'll wear
How do you feel?
my.
How do you feel about jeans in the press box, Joel?
I wear jeans in the press box.
I think nice jeans are acceptable.
Yes, jeans with dress shorts, a polo, or even a dress shirt with a sport jacket is totally acceptable.
Yeah,
I don't. I try not to wear jeans when I go. I always want to, put on the slacks and the nice golf shirt.
I wear like a nice golf shirt or polo shirt or a dress shirt, but I usually tend to wear jeans too.
Do you take some Guaco Loco
No, nothing
stickers
like
and stuff, and accidentally leave some, in the bathroom?
No. When I know it's going to be a hot day though, and I'm going to be pitch side, I'll wear something like more, loose fitting and, stuff like that. But but for the most part, when I'm up in the press box and stuff like that, I try to keep it semi-professional.
You don't have your El Guaco Loco headband that you're wearing around your head when you're.
No.
You don't have like a couple of the girls that come and hold the signs behind you when you're down on the field.
No.
They don't have those girls anymore. I think we talked about that earlier.
In Mexico? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they don't. I think it's like sexist now. I think they consider it sexist to do that. So they
could have guys do the same. Imagine a bunch of panzones doing the same thing. It'd be pretty funny. All right. Well, Dan, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, pleasure as always.
Joel, I'm assuming you're not going to go to any Gold Cup matches.
I did not. Probably the first Gold Cup I haven't covered since 03.
Well, the semis are in the Rose Bowl.
I know, but I was just not feeling it, John.
Your journalistic integrity has evaporated.
Yeah, it's just not a team I could get excited over. Hey, but who knows the tournament, how it might play out. I might end up regretting it.
We'll see what happens. It's they are it hasn't opened yet, Joel. So I think that I don't know if you went to the website or not, but
no, I'm pretty much made up my mind, Yon.
Oh, so it was a personal decision.
I'll be applying for that one.
Yeah.
I'll be applying for that one once it opens up.
Excellent, Dan. Hopefully that'll. Now that's a nice place. I like the Rose Bowl. I have good memories from the Rose Bowl, as I'm sure you do.
Yes, very much so.
Excellent.
Couple.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cheekies, thanks again for hooking all this up. Oh, did you have a question, Cheekies? I'm sorry.
Oh no problem. Yeah, I was just going to tell Dan if he wants access to the Twitter or if he wants to send me pictures or videos, I can post on like the social media stuff.
Awesome. Yeah.
Or if you want passwords and stuff, I'll give you them if you want to do it yourself, or if not, I can help out.
Cool. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, glad to be on. Good stuff, John.
Thanks, Chickies. We'll talk to you next week, and then hopefully you'll get to go to San Antonio. Joel, it's always a pleasure to have you on. And
likewise, John. Likewise.
We'll talk again. And Ron, last but not least, thank you so much for joining the show. Really appreciate it. Thanks for taking us into the Citadel again.
Thank you.
Even if just for a little bit, just a little taste. Appreciate it. Well, folks, this has been another edition of the CantinaMX podcast. We'll be on again next week. I will actually be in Denver on Thursday, so hopefully, if you guys want to do the show live, I might be able to bring you all some live reports from Denver. So hopefully, we'll be able to do that next week on the CantinaMX podcast. So thank you guys very much for joining us. We'll talk to you guys next week. Listen to this and our previous editions of the podcast in the podcast center on iTunes as well as Google Play. My name is John Jagu. Thank you guys very much for joining us. We'll talk to you guys next week.